就是你去做起来不会。你这训练方式啊，我明天有，到多少？都到了。我这里也几天去玩啊，我这里也，这里。这三助理了解好，有些说，你看人家闭着到面，每次都理解你。对，所以大的情况，你像一般什么，你应该用它0.1嘛，但是你在因为它的
the world, invent amazing technology, have technology independence on the one hand, and be the leader of the world in technology on the one hand. On the other hand, we need to make sure that we ensure national security. Our regulations provide for that. The most critical technology that we build, the leading edge of it is not made available to China. And so what we have to do, a new regulation just came out, one that came out a year ago, one just came out this year. And so we have to come up with new chips that comply with the regulation. And once we comply with the regulation, we'll go back to market and do the best.
But do you think the regulation is a good idea? Because I have heard you say that you think potentially by throttling these chips, we are just inspiring and creating competitors in places like China that you can't control.
That's what, look, there are always unintended consequences. Everything that we do in complicated systems, if we want to limit them from access to technology like NVIDIA's, maybe it doesn't really. They find a way to get it, or they find a way to inspire their local industry. There's some 50 companies that are being built in China that are going to go provide this technology. So it's a complicated thing. And so what can you do?
Well, you can make your own choices, but the other thing that's happened literally in the past couple months now is Huawei came out with a new phone.
Yeah.
And it surprised everybody in terms of the chips in that phone. In terms of this being a 7-nanometer chip, there was a view that China was never going to get there. We had this sort of real opportunity ahead of them by many years. Mm-hmm. Were you surprised by that?
The rumors of it in the market has been around for a long time, and so were we surprised? I don't think so. I don't think anybody in the industry was really surprised. And is it possible to take something that said 16 nanometer and shrink it to 7? You know, these are just numbers. Is it really 7? Did they shrink it down to something that was sufficiently good that you can make a phone from? Yeah, I think so. And so I think there's no magic in these numbers, as you know. It's just 7, the number.
But the question is, what is our lead over them, do you think?
In semiconductors?
Yeah.
In semiconductors, call it a decade. You could decide, call it a decade. But could you take a decade-old technology and just squeeze the living daylights out of it until it produces something that's kind of like something from 5 years ago? Yeah, probably. And so I think there's a lot of clever engineers all over the world, and they're trying to get the most out of.
Let me ask you a different company. There's a company called ASML in the Netherlands that's basically responsible for every chip that everybody makes.
Yeah.
Some people might call them a monopoly. How powerful are they in all of this? And should we be worried about that power?
Well, a lot of people depend on them to build the instrument, and they do build very, very good instruments. And the technology is very complicated. It took a long time for them to build it. There's no reason why they don't want to provide it to the world. And so I'm not sure what the question is, but I'm not concerned. I didn't wake up this morning concerned about ASML. I think they're an excellent provider, and they're motivated to supply to us, and so I think everybody's incentives are aligned.
I want to ask you a management question because it's just fascinating, given the success of this company. You constantly say, even at this point in the ballgame, you say, I do everything I can not to go out of business. I do everything I can not to fail. That is like a mantra inside the company, even at this point. What is that about?
What is that about? I think when you build a company from the ground up and you experience real adversity and you really experience nearly going out of business several times, that feeling stays with you. I wake up every morning in some condition of concern, and I don't wake up proud and confident. I wake up worried and concerned about, and so it just depends on which side of the bed you get out on.
This is the Andy Grove, only the paranoid survive.
Well, I think paranoia needs therapy. I don't think people are trying to put me out of business. I probably know they're trying to, and so I that's different. And so I live in this condition where partly desperate, partly aspirational. And
okay, well, let me ask you then about this. You said this to the New Yorker, and I found it fascinating. Again, goes to this idea of failure or worries about failure. But you said this, and this is like news. This is a selfish question. You said, I find that I think best when I'm under adversity. And then you said, my heart rate actually goes down. When I'm under adversity, my heart rate goes up by a lot.
Uh-huh. Well, let's see. Well, I think during adversity, you're more focused. And when you're more focused, you perform better. And I like the last 5 minutes before something, you're more focused. And so, I like to live in that state where we're about to perish and everything, and so So I enjoy that condition, and I do my best work in that condition. And I like going home and telling my wife I saved the company today. And maybe it wasn't true, but I like to think so. And so
another question. We have a lot of business leaders and CEOs here, and I think they're going to be surprised to hear this. You have 40 direct reports at the company.
50 direct reports.
50 direct reports.
Yeah.
Most people say, I don't know if we have any consultants in the room, they'd say, you know what, half a dozen, maybe 10, that should be the limit. What's your philosophy or theory here?
Well, the people that report to the CEO should require the least amount of pampering. And so I don't think they need life advice. I don't think they need career guidance. They should be at the top of their game, incredibly good at their craft. And unless they need my personal help, they should require very little management. And so I think that the more direct reports the CEO has, the less layers are in the company.
Right.
And so it allows us to keep information fluid. It allows us to make sure that everyone is empowered by information. And our company, just performs better because everybody's aligned. Everybody's informed of what's going on.
I wanted to open up to questions in just a moment, so please do raise your hand so I can find you. But I want to ask you this. You did a podcast recently, and there were a lot of headlines about it. And you said during the podcast, if you could do it all over again, meaning like if you could start NVIDIA again,
yeah,
you wouldn't.
No.
What did you mean? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, you've done this amazing thing.
Yeah.
You're worth $40 billion personally.
Yeah. That wasn't what I meant. First of all, I think it would be disingenuous if I said that it wasn't, quote, worth it. I enjoy a lot of good things in life. I've got a great family. We built a great company. All of that is worth it. That wasn't what I meant. What I meant was, if people realized how hard something is, and if I would have realized how hard it was, how many times we're going to fail, how the original business plan had no hope of succeeding, that almost the early founders that we built the whole company with, we had to completely relearn just about everything we had to know. If I would have known all of the things that I had to know in order to be a CEO, everything that we had to solve in order to be where we are, that mountain of work, that mountain of challenges, that mountain of adversity and setback and some amount of humiliation and a lot of embarrassment, if you would have piled all of that on in 1993, on the table of a 29-year-old, I don't think I would have done it. I would have said, there's no way I would know all this. There's no way I could learn all this. There's no way we can overcome all this. There's no way, this is a game plan that's not going to work. And so that's what I meant. That I think the ignorance of entrepreneurs, this attitude that, and I try to keep that today, which is ask yourself, how hard could it be? You approach life with this attitude of how hard could it be? If they could do it, I could do it. That attitude is completely helpful, but it's also completely wrong. It's very helpful because it gives you courage, but it's wrong because it is way harder than you think it is. And the amount of skill that is necessary, the amount of knowledge that's necessary, I think it's one of those teenager attitudes, and I think I try to keep that in the company, that teenage attitude. How hard can something be? It gives you courage. It gives you confidence.
Let's try to sneak in one question or two, if we could. I know Ron Conway had a question last time at a different moment. I don't know if he's still in the room. I felt like I should give him an opportunity, but I see Gary Lauder there. Hey, Gary.
So there are a lot of startups, and not non-startups, doing AI chips optimized for LLMs. Can you talk about, and they claim to be dramatically more effective and energy efficient than GPUs. Can you talk about what you're planning in those regards?